So you're thinking about making a move to Ann Arbor, Michigan, and at this point, you've probably been doing some research and you've come across some publications that rank Ann Arbor as one of the best places to live here in Michigan. And there's a lot of pros and cons that go into living in Ann Arbor, but there are some hidden costs that you absolutely need to know about before making that move to Ann Arbor. So you've probably been looking at some homes online, trying to get a feel for the real estate market in Ann Arbor, and you start to notice something about the market that just feels kind of different than some of the surrounding areas. And you start looking at home prices and you start wondering to yourself, am I just paying a premium for the name Ann Arbor? And that's a really fair question. And honestly, the answer is not the same for everybody. So in today's video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what Ann Arbor is going to cost you today in 2026, not just the home prices, okay, the full entire picture so you got a good understanding. And then I'm going to tell you actually who it's worth it for and who might be better off somewhere in the orbit of Ann Arbor, some of the surrounding communities. Hey, if you're new here, my name is Eric Meldrum, and my team and I help people just like you guys make that move here to Ann Arbor and all the communities that surround it. So whether you're making a move in 1 month or 1 year from now, definitely reach out to us so we can help you too. Now, let's get into it. So if you're watching this video and you're sitting in California or Chicago or maybe somewhere on the East Coast right now, you've probably already done the math on the housing cost. And Ann Arbor starts to look pretty reasonable compared to where you're from. But there is a hidden cost that definitely sneaks up on you, and that's the property tax rate. You know, it's higher than most people expect it to be. And if you didn't know this would be a good time to make note of it for your mortgage calculations. So what I'm going to go over is the exact exercise that my wife and I went through when we were looking at homes in Ann Arbor. And it's the exact same one that we cover with all of our clients to ensure you guys have a full picture on what it actually costs to buy a home here in Ann Arbor or any of the surrounding cities. So we're going to look at the two major cost factors when buying a home in Ann Arbor. And the first one is the home price. So let's start with that because this is where people get confused. And it's partly because the data sources are actually lying to you when you're looking on sites like Zillow or Realtor.com or any of those portal sites where they're giving you some aggregation. You know, if you Google Ann Arbor home prices right now, okay, go do it, pause this video and actually type in Ann Arbor home prices, you're going to see something around the high 400s or that. I think it was like 493 when I Googled it today. And you're going to think, okay, like that's manageable, you know, from a home price perspective. But here's the problem with that number. This is not the entire story, okay? This is the entire market of single family homes, condos, and a mix of inventory that honestly doesn't reflect what a single family home in Ann Arbor is actually going for. And you need to separate those two, okay? We need to get a better picture of what home prices are when you're gonna be looking just for condos or a single family home. So let's take a closer look at single family homes alone, okay? The average cost is closer to around $640,000. And in the more popular neighborhoods like Burns Park, Water Hill, Arbor Hills, Old West Side, you're looking at homes that are going pending in about 7 days and frequently selling for over asking price. There's currently about 1.5 months of supply. And next, we're gonna look at the condo market, and they average right around $459,000. Now, when I looked at this data, this was up over $200,000 from just 10 years ago, okay? So there's a growing condo market. There's been a lot of condo units added, and those have continued to go up. And there's currently about 2 months of supply when it comes to the condo market. So for all intents and purposes, this is not a soft market. You know, we are in a seller's market. We've been in a seller's market in Ann Arbor for a while, and inventory is turning about every 2 months. Okay, that's a very fast-paced moving market when you have that much inventory churning every 1.5 to 2 months. All right, so next up, we're gonna take a look at the property taxes. And this is the one that nobody really cares to talk about, okay? This is reality. I've had this conversation so many times for other people who have reached out to me, and they were speaking with some people in Ann Arbor, some other agents, and like, nobody told us this. Like, this never came up, you know, when we were looking at buying a home in Ann Arbor. On this channel, I'm always gonna bring you great information to help you guys make the best decision possible, you know, in this market. Now, this is one that surprises almost everyone who doesn't know Ann Arbor that well, okay? The Ann Arbor millage rate for property taxes is 53 mils. Now, in all fairness, that's lower than the city of Detroit, which is coming in at 64 mils. So it's not the highest. Detroit is actually higher than Ann Arbor in that regards. So what does this mean for you when you actually buy a home? Now, to break it down, we're gonna take that average price home of around $640,000, and that is gonna equate to what the 53 mils is. You're looking at about $17,000 in property taxes, okay, depending on where your taxable value shakes out. Now, keep in mind, this could be less, but as a rule of thumb, this would be the max that you're paying. However, if you are not claiming your homestead on that, which is your principal residence, If you're buying that as a second home, maybe an investment property, those taxes are going to be non-homestead, which are going to be higher. And that tax bill is going to come in at around $22,000 per year. But, and this is an important fact, that money is going somewhere in the city to pay for things that could benefit you and your family and your overall quality of life. So let's dive into where that's actually going. Now, about 50% of the actual property taxes, those are directed towards Ann Arbor Public Schools and including the Washtenaw Community College. About 25% of them actually go to the city of Ann Arbor, and these cover things like police, fire, parks and recreation, street repair, your water treatment facilities, and that's always a surprising one. People learn that only 25% of my property taxes actually go to the city of Ann Arbor. Well, it's true, okay, look it up. And the last 25% is split up between the Washtenaw County operations, your Ann Arbor Public Libraries, and your Ann Arbor Transit Authority. So having walkable streets, bikeable roads, and over 130 parks and counting in Ann Arbor at a top-rated school district definitely has a price tag associated with it. But if you're thinking right now, like, what is my alternative? Well, there's a lot of cities surrounding Ann Arbor that a lot of people actually end up moving to when they come into Ann Arbor and then kind of learn a little bit more about the area and what they're looking for in their lifestyle. So you could actually end up paying a fraction of that every single year, and still be close to the city. Part of what you're trading is that city infrastructure for just a different lifestyle, maybe more land, maybe a lake life, that's the trade that people are really looking at. Okay, so stay with me, you guys, because I haven't even told you the part that changes the math yet. There is a demand that's building in Ann Arbor that nobody is really talking about, okay? There's a tremendous amount of people inbound to Ann Arbor for tech, the medical field, and automotive ties. Okay, there's a lot of different subsectors to that, research and development and bioscience and all those things. But for the most part, these are the major job hubs that people are coming in for. And a lot of those people are craving a walkable city, okay, which you do find in Ann Arbor or any of the orbit cities with good schools. Now, demand pressure is already baked into where this market is going. You're starting to see that in some of the home prices right now. You're starting to see that in some of the condo markets. People are buying in Ann Arbor right now, not for speculation, okay? The smart ones actually know what's happening because they're either part of it and they see all their colleagues in the company that they're talking about with their hiring plans, and they're starting to see where this is going. And what we're seeing right now will continue over the future decades, which is a density play. Okay, the city is moving away from its historical emphasis on low density in favor of more urban development. Okay, I think high rises, multifamily development, mixed use developments where you got hotels, condos, shopping, all in one building. Okay, height and scale will drive the growth in Ann Arbor in the downtown area and all major corridors for the next couple decades. So with this pressure filling a void for the urban buyers, the single family neighborhoods will continue to be the highly sought after homes with tree-lined streets where many people still want to be. Okay, all this to say that home prices will continue to hold and rise as this development plays out. And this was my personal story. So like I said, I went through this exact same calculation when we were looking for homes. Brianna and I lived in Ann Arbor and we were planning on buying a home there. We loved it. And we ultimately moved to Brighton. It's not because we didn't love Ann Arbor, it's because we wanted more space. We wanted a different pace of life, and Brighton checked, a lot of boxes for me, my wife, and the family we were creating. Ann Arbor is the right answer for you if you're craving walkability and a city energy that actually matters to you, or maybe you work at Michigan Medicine or U of M or somewhere in the city that you want to be close to and you don't feel like commuting, 20, 30 minutes every single day, or you absolutely want your kids to be in the Ann Arbor School District as a priority. So who's Ann Arbor not for? Well, it's probably not the answer for you if you want more land or a bigger house at the same budget. If you want to be on a lake somewhere watching the sunset, you're not going to find that in Ann Arbor. Or if you're looking at your property taxes and you're running the mortgage calculations, and that's a real constraint on your monthly number. And lastly, if you'd rather have a smaller town feel with a longer commute tolerance, you can look in the outskirts of Ann Arbor in any of the orbit cities. And if you are in that second category, I have a whole playlist on some of the cities surrounding Ann Arbor, Dexter, Brighton, Saline, Chelsea, Ypsilanti, all of it, you guys. I see this time and time again. People start their search in Ann Arbor because that's all you might know right now. But there's plenty of surrounding cities that might just be what you're looking for. So if you're still sorting out whether Ann Arbor or one of the surrounding cities makes more sense for you and your family, that is literally the exact conversation I have with people every single week, okay? No pitch, just a conversation. There's a link in the description if you do want to set something up. Otherwise, check out some of the surrounding city playlists that we got. I got deep dives on places like Brighton, Dexter, Howell, Saline, Heartland, Ypsilanti, South Lyon, you name it, okay? And make sure you subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this, and I will see you on the next one.